Hi, again. It's still January 5th. It's still January 5th. I literally just finished recording the previous video. Went to the kitchen, had my ginger root chew and a glass of lemon water, and just was listening to music. And then I think I put a link on some of the music playlists that I listened to, and I saw that MJ had a new video that posted up, and it was on the Twin Flame journey and blah blah, right? Twin Flame. Anyways, it was just interesting because she's highlighting certain things again, just this realization, right? I mean, you guys won't get this message until like a week or two later, and I set that up purposely because I really wanted to take a break, right? I take a break of like having to record and post the same day or the day before. Like I really am trying to clean out my computer and have all these videos just scheduled so I don't have to do anything except maybe record and save on my portable little saver thing. But just to have a break, right? And just be more present in the moment and do some other things, some creative stuff that's coming to mind. But so she's talking about this relationship, right? And I hadn't labeled that this particular connection in that way, just because I didn't want to label anything. But some people who have been following me have made reference and comments and kind of alluding to the possibility. And yeah, it is what it is, right? It is what it is. And who knows what it's going to be. Because, you know, like I mentioned before, just because it has a certain label, it doesn't mean that anything's concrete. It doesn't mean that anything is set in stone. It doesn't mean that in this lifetime it's supposed to stay, right? Everyone that you meet is a mirror. Everyone will reflect back to you to some degree things that we need to work on, right? If we get triggered. And actually, I had this conversation when I went to go see family. We had a little powwow, and you know, some of the kids were there. When I say kids, they're like high school students, right? And we talked about healing work, and there was a lot of question about like, well, what if there's like major trauma, and some of these people had like major trauma, and how do you tackle something like that, right? And when there's still so much hurt, so much anger, so much pain. And you know, to a certain degree, coming from a mental health background, and again, this particular YouTube channel is by no means a replacement for mental health services. This is my journey, even though I am licensed. This is my journey, and I'm just documenting what I'm experiencing and giving my little 2 or 3 cents of the background that I have, and how it applies and how it doesn't apply, and what matches and what makes sense, and what things, you know, need to be questioned and challenged to move society forward, from my perspective, which I'm learning is also the bigger collective perspective, because I'm coming across these other individuals, these other people who are speaking to this whole awakening thing and this collective message, because it's becoming a collective message. I'm learning. So backtrack. As I was listening, so there's 2 pieces of information here, right? There's this awareness that what I'm speaking to, right? This foreseer gift is continuing to unfold in front of me. And I'm not afraid of it anymore. I think it tripped me out a couple nights ago. I think it had to do with the moon energy and just kind of like taking out emotions. And but now that I'm hearing, right, other people in the message, and that it's not just me. It's just reassuring, right? That there's a group of us working towards the same cause, you know, and the group of us is recognizing the importance of not getting stuck in polarity, right? This really working towards within this community, this new community that I'm building for myself, right? And that I have access to if I choose to pay a certain amount of money for certain trainings. But I'm talking more about my community that I'm building with the people in my area of circumference, right? That are either going through this, have gone through this, know of someone who's going through this, or even just people who want to learn, right? Who are just wanting to understand, right? Those that are open to this process just to be of support. Those are going to be people that I'm going to continue to associate myself with. And then you have my people that I'm going to learn from, right? Those 5 people, at least 5 people that I'm going to identify before the end of this month. But anyways, so there's that piece of it, right? And then there's the connection piece that is still, it happens to be a big piece for me and for everybody in general, because it's all about relationships. It's all about connections. We're all interconnected, right? It doesn't matter who it is. It doesn't matter what label you slap on it. It's a connection, right? It's a relationship. It's how you do life together, right? And I came across this commercial ad in between some of the videos. This guy named Lee Harris Energy, I guess is his, how he has converted his spiritual gifts into work, right? I mean, you can do that, right? And get paid for it, and where your passion, where your heart and your mind are aligned, right? And so for him, I guess he offers, I don't know what he offers, to be quite honest with you. I was just kind of caught on by the 22-minute ad that he was talking about. And it caught my attention because he was just speaking about these truths that for me resonated, right? There's truths that I've been speaking about, that I've just, messages that I've just been receiving, that are just coming from my heart, really. It's not like I'm like, you know, like that whole in tuning, you know, like, no, it's just, de aquí están haciendo, you know, like, it's just like, I don't know how else to explain it except that it's out of inspiration. It's out of inspiration, really, as I'm going through my morning meditation, as I'm going through my interactions with people, as I'm reading the oracle cards, right? Mostly out of interactions with people, that I'm getting inspired to look at other things, look at things in a different way. And that's where it starts coming out from here. Does it include crying? Hell yeah, it does. Does it include all of the other intense emotions? Anger? It starts off as an anger, and then it, you know, dissipates, and then it's like tears, right? And again, there's still people in my life that get worried that I'm crying a little too much. And I have to remind them, I'm like, you know, let's put it in perspective. You know, we're a society that is very much distracted away from what we already have within to help heal ourselves, right? And so so going back to this healing and going back to this powwow that I had with my family, and this concept of like, well, what if I have so many hurts, right? And I don't want to open Pandora's box. So and the description was, what do I do with all this, right? What do I do with all this? And so I said, how it all depends on how you look at your, right? How do you look at your baggage? How do you look at it? Your perception of it. You know, there's this concept, right, of a diamond, how a diamond is created, right? It's and I don't know exactly it because I'm not a scientist, but I could have sworn it was something about like you have to like chip away at the dirt, right? And then inside is the diamond. And so it's how you look at it, how you look at that piece of rock, right? Do you look at it as garbage, or do you look at it as nuggets of information, nuggets, life lessons, right? Blessings in disguise. And there has to be, you have to get to a certain point, right, of holding on to this baggage where you're finding like, dang, I just need to let it go, right? But I can't. It's been a part of my life for so long. How am I gonna let this go, right? There's this love-hate relationship that you don't know how else to do life because that's all you know, right? That's how you've lived life. And so, you know, unless you've experienced it before. And sometimes it requires to actually start opening up one bag at a time and kind of saying, okay, you know, what this particular situation, is it similar to another bag that I'm carrying that I didn't even realize there's a connection there, right? A similar situation and my outcome was the same. That's the missing piece. That outcome needs to be different. Your behavior, your response, your perception needs to be different to it, right? So there were a couple individuals in this powwow where it was like, I have all this, right, baggage. What am I going to do? How do I break this down? And then I remembered a cute little joke. I think it's a joke, or saying, I don't know, or someone had said, how do you eat an elephant, right? Huge elephant. How do you eat an elephant? The answer is one bite at a time. One bite at a time. And so I just encouraged them to make a list of all the hurts. Make a list of all the hurts and then categorize them or rate them, right? The hurt that is the not as hurtful on top, whereas the bottom one is like that hard no, I'm not even opening that one. That one's going to take me down a whirlpool. I don't even want to touch that hurt, right? And really breaking it down in that way to make it safe, right? To take a bite at a time. Now, I'm not just saying that you can do this on your own. If you can, if you feel that sense of security and you have that support around you to be able to do that on your own, great. If you're in a safe environment with supportive people around you and you feel you could do it, by all means, right? To each their own. But if you're struggling, you know, and it's really taking a toll to where, you know, hardcore depression, hardcore, you know, where you're going to one extreme, one polarity, please seek help, right? Please seek professional help. You know, there's county hotlines, crisis hotlines, that you can, you know, and I'll probably end up putting some national hotlines in this particular video, because again, this YouTube is not to replace that. It's just to document my experience as it unfolds in front of me. Going back to connections and relationships. And I had mentioned in the previous video that this person is teaching me something new. How to do connections and relationships in a different way, right? Of just, there's definitely, and there was, you know, anger and hurt before about like, you know, because I had so much love that I wanted to give. But with this separation, you know, and then we're not really truly separated, right? This is just in the sense that we're not physically in the same space, right? Once more, that we're the space itself is what connects us. Interconnected, right? We're all interconnected. Even when there's space between us, that space is something that connects us. sometimes we just don't see it that way, right? Lack mentality. There's absence, right? But if we choose to look at it as, no, well, this space in between is actually really, it's been really helpful. It's been really helpful for me to do more self-reflection, to look at these triggers that are coming out once more, right? These life lessons that are coming up for me again, and allowing me the space, giving me the time, right? For this awareness to reflect, to take a step back and to do something different, to respond differently, right? And I've mentioned I'm trying to embrace my feminine energy a little more. And so, okay, I have to resolve this within me. I can't just take it out, right, on people by withholding what I want to give, right? I can still give what I want to give with that sense of reassurance within myself that, hey, my self-worth is still here. At any time that I don't feel that there's this nice flow back and forth, hey, you know, I can make that call. I can make that call to step away if I want to. Or right, instead of running away, I can make a call and say, you know what, we need to have another talk, another powwow about this arrangement. and I don't know, hopefully, I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to. At least not for the moment. At least not in my real time. Only because this other person has a lot of stuff going on. And I'm not going to make it my life. You know, like I again, this concept of what I want versus what I'm ready for. And right now, do I really, I really like my space. I like that I have my me time. I like that I can call my own shots. I like that. I really do. I like that I can just pick up one day and call a random person without having to check with somebody else and be like, hey, you want to go do this? You know, of course that's limited because everyone else is working, but you know, for the time being, or at least just, I'm really appreciating this. I really am. And I think back to Miss Christina, who did my birth chart reading, and she even told me, she even gave me a date. She gave me a date of when I was going to be ready to, like, you know, move forward in relationships. So I have that in the back of my head, and part of me is like, nah. But the more that things are like unfolding, the more it's like, yeah, we're getting close to that date, you know, where I'm just like, dang it. So anyways, the whole purpose of this was, I'm learning something new. I'm learning to do relationships differently, and I appreciate this other person for putting it out there and sticking to it, whether or not it was a truth based on value or if it was a truth based off fear. I don't care anymore, because I'm seeing the value in it. I'm seeing how important it really was for me to chew on this, right? To do this self-reflection, to really identify what it is that I want and what it is that I don't want, right? And how I choose to continue to respond in relationships. And then right now is, you know, in my head, of course, daydreaming. And then this movie came up for me. Twilight, right? Twilight. When Team Jake, right, talks about the sense of, gosh, what was it called? Imprinting on someone. And how he talks about that it's not this, it's like this where you mold yourself, because out of the sureness of who you are able to mold yourself when you come across this person that you're supposed to be with, right? Whoever it may be. doesn't matter what the label is, whoever it is, you're able to mold yourself to meet the needs of this other person, right? Without fear that it's taking away something from you, without fear that it's making you any less than, without fear of it meaning anything different about who you are. Really based out of love. And it's not even this overgiving, because it's not a self-sacrificing type of molding. It's this molding of, you know what, it's going to be a balanced, mutual give and take, nurturing, right? Nurturing and action-oriented interaction, right? As you grow and develop, if you're in a different place than I am, right? And you know, you think about Jake and how she imprinted on the baby, and you know, Bella got all freaked out about it, right? But the way he explained it, right? It's like, I can be anybody that she needs me to be. And he said it out of this level of certainty of like, not that it was gonna diminish his value or make him seem less than, or that he was going to put more into it, right? To get her to hurry up and grow at the rate that she was growing already in like in extreme, you know, fashion, out of the norm, right? But really the impression that I got was this balanced give and take of what you're needing, right? Not over giving, not under giving, but just what you need. And it's not going to diminish who I am, because I know who I am. It's helping you figure out and get you to where you need to be, right? And that came to mind as I was reflecting on my current interaction with this new person, of just how we're just kind of like living our lives separately, but not separate, because, you know, space is space. I choose to make it meaningful space, not that there's an absence of, but just another way of, a different way of connecting, right? And if you think about it, even through Zoom, right, we're connecting with people, even though there's space between us, that space is still connecting us, right? The energetic us, which now makes sense why when I was meeting other people, physical space, it didn't feel like, it hasn't felt like, with anybody that I'm interacting with, it has not felt like I've been gone or they've been gone for me. They might feel it different because of where they're at, but for me, it just feels like any other day. It's just a weird feeling. So this guy, Lee Harris, said, we create each other with our interactions, right? I love that. We create each other, right? If I'm going to respond to you out of fear, that's what I'm creating. If I'm going to respond to you out of anger, that's what I'm going to create, right? And being more mindful of that. And so he encouraged us within January and February, and I'm going to share this because I don't think people actually sit through the ads in between videos. We just skip them, right? But I think what he meant was meaningful. He said within the month of January and February, you know, take a step back, you know, in terms of putting out your energy as much as you can. Still do what you need to do, but being more mindful of how you're distributing your energy, which actually, sorry for that noise, it's my neighbor turning on their water pipes, but really taking this time to cultivate, he said, cultivate who and how you want to be in the planet in the years to come, and to really rest, because March, it might let up a little bit, but really in the next couple of years, it's going to still be difficult, and that we now have to hold the center for others, right? So we need to learn a new way to cope so that we can hold the torch, hold the light for the next wave of people who are going through this experience. So I thought that was really interesting. You know, advertisement in the middle of the video caught my attention, didn't press the skip ad. I actually sat through most of it, and I was just like, I like how this guy is talking, right? He's resonating with me. So I wrote down his name. And he does something called the rebirth2021.com that is going to occur at the end of this month, January 19th to the 29th. So I just, you know, helping a brother out there. Promoting whatever it is that he's doing. I got a good vibe from him, so I'm supporting by spreading that message. And I'll put the link in the description box too. But I wanted to speak to that a little bit more, as to where I'm at. You know, feeling the sense of wholeness, completeness within myself a lot more. Not to say that I'm all, you know, perfect. I know I'm going to continue to get triggered in the small things, the interactions, but now that I'm more aware of it, reminding myself, hey, got this, right? Like, you don't have to be so reactive or defensive, right? Like, you're good, you're good. Things will fall into place. You know, you don't need something right now. You don't need anything. You're good where you're at. And really embracing what he said of just, you know, when he proposed that to me, was just, you know, let's just take it a moment at a time and just kind of see how it unfolds. And there is a balance. There's definitely a balance of things, allowing things to play out to a certain extent, and then allowing things for us to take action on, you know, when we're led to. Even if that means it's towards a mistake, right? Because it's just meaning that we have yet to learn the lesson. And I think that's what I was probably going through with when I was just having this poll. I think that was still this lesson for me to really sit down with and like recognize for myself. So I feel glad. I feel at peace. I have to get going 'cause I don't have a watch. I was gonna look at my watch, but I need to go run my errands before it gets too late. So, all right.